Well, hey there, you're on the internet. It is finally the last day of the Shimmertastic Marathon. And welcome to the Triple N Network, where all you newbie nib nerds can find all the news you'll need. Let's get this started, shall we? Yes, so here is number 10 of 10, in alphabetical order, of the Diamine Shimmertastic inks, Sparkling Shadows. It is a gray with gold glitter. Now, all of these the entire Shimmertastic line, as well as Emerald of Chivor, was provided by the wonderful benefactor from Down Under. So if you appreciate these reviews, please send him some love. That being said, I am definitely reviewing these for you people because I hate glitter. I've been traumatized. There's a history there. It's dark. I won't get into it. But yeah, the glitter never really comes out. Anyways, as I mentioned in my night sky video, I actually thought that there was like a pastel gray and a darker gray. I didn't realize that night sky was supposed to be black. So, yeah, but no, this is their gray, the actual gray. And it's actually kind of a fun contrast because this is a very silvery gray, and then you've got the gold glitter, so it's an interesting little, I don't know, metallic thing going on. But yeah, so here are the two pens that I used. This is a Kaweco Ice with a double broad nib, if my camera will ever focus on what I want it to. So there's that, and then this is a Pilot Metropolitan with a Japanese medium nib. Now, as I've said in every single video, I think, for this series, there has been what I've called glitter pileup. It's where the glitter gets caught in the feed of every single Metro that I've used, and I believe I used 5 different Metros or Metro-like pens, and they all had the same problem. The glitter would get caught in the feed, the next bit of glitter caught behind it, until it was like bumper-to-bumper traffic, and the glitter couldn't get out, and it would pile up, and then this would happen. Yeah, so, serious pain in the butt to clean. If I didn't have this little thing, which I think is for, like, I don't know, something tooth related, but it's almost like a very soft eyelash brush. If I didn't have that to help clean out the feeds, I would go crazy because I don't have a sonic cleaner. And even still, I'm pretty sure some of the feeds are never going to be the same. Never the same. Anyways, so, something to be aware of, there appears to be some kind of problem with the glitter and Metro feeds. So, knowledge is power. Go into it understanding this possibility. Now, not a lot of inks have a external glitter component, especially ones intended for fountain pens. There is the Diamine line, but they have 5, and I think one of them only just came out. And there have been several colors of ink that Shimmertastic has that Jeroboam does not, and there are several that Jeroboam has that Shimmertastic doesn't quite have either. So there should be a nice breadth of glittery inks for those of you who like it. However, Sparkling Shadows is gray with gold shiny bits. Jeroboam does have 1670 Stormy Gray. And in fact, they are disturbingly similar. Like, frighteningly similar. If anything, I'd say this one almost has like green-ish undertones and is a bit darker and more saturated, and Sparkling Shadows is a little lighter, less saturated. And I only have a very small sample of this, so I haven't tested it yet, but I've heard very good things, so that's my first comparison, because it is obvious and unnerving. And then the next one that I have is Mont Blanc Oyster Gray, which of course is much lighter. But there were certain qualities about this that definitely reminded me of this. Like, I felt like if I thin this out, I get something kind of similar. Then Diamine's Gray, which does look very similar, if a bit lighter. So, definitely worth mentioning. And then probably my favorite gray, Noodler's Lexington Gray, which is a bit different, has a bit of a different flavor to it. I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but if I had to, I'd say this is almost more yellow to it, and this one has almost a bit more purple. But that sounds crazy when I say it out loud, so let's pretend I didn't. So there's that. Now, bear with me as I zoom in. So we can do these chromatography. I will be editing this. There we go. Alright, so here's the chromatography. The one with the little D is the one that I let dry, which is not how you're supposed to do it, but I feel like over the years has actually taught me a fair bit about how these inks behave. Now on both, you can see that the glitter really stayed where it was first put. And it makes sense. Why? Because this is a coffee filter. You know, it is a sieve. It lets the small things, the thin things like liquid go through, and the thick things like coffee grounds, or in this case glitter, stay where they're supposed to. So yes. Now this is the standard one where I put the line of ink and then instantly dunked it in the water. You can see very clearly where that initial drop was put. And there's actually a good, solid bit of color going all the way up, and it gets very dark around the edge. Now the one that I let dry, that initial dot, is much darker. It's much more noticeable. But pretty much everything else is about the same. I'd say maybe the stuff at the top is not quite as dark, but still. Alright, let's look at some resistance tests. Now here is water, which really got it moving. The problem was there was something, I think that I had laid the ink on already so thick that it kind of affected the integrity of the paper. So, 1/3 bleach solution, interestingly, didn't completely get rid of it. It got rid of some of it, but as you can tell, there's almost like a dove gray color left behind. Ammonia pen flush didn't do any better than water. And hydrogen peroxide, yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, it's an interesting contrast. It's very silvery and then very gold. So, yeah. Now, paper test. Top down in density, Clairefontaine, 90 grams per square meter. Yep. Very silvery, right? And if we hold it at the right angle, we can see some nice shading. Actually, I'm going to bring it in from the side just a little bit. You can see even the shading in that Japanese medium. It's very nice. Now, again, like all of the inks in this line, whatever the base ink component is, so here the gray stuff minus the gold glitter, is quite wet flowing. So there's going to be some long dry times. So even though that's a Japanese medium, it took 18 seconds to dry. Now the double broad from Kaweco took 35 seconds. I usually stop counting at 30. However, I am a reasonable human being. I'm aware that this is super dense paper, this is very wet flowing ink, and it's got particulates in it. You gotta give it a little more time. Grade on the scale. Now, what's interesting is, so we see the shading in the scrubby, and then when we turn it, everywhere where there is shading, there's more glitter. So it's kind of interesting. Like if you try and like turn your head to get a better idea of like the shading, like all of a sudden, boop, gold. Now it is very pretty. I actually kind of like the silver gold contrast. The only problem is I hate glitter. So that's a personal thing. People love this stuff, obviously, because they made a whole line of it. 2 companies made 2 different lines of it. Just not for me. However, this idea I kind of like. This would probably be great for addressing envelopes for like a wedding or something. Just thinking off the top of my head. Now, there's no bleed, no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen. That's actually a bit of water from the table where I put it down. That's my bad. But speaking of water, it's pretty gone. It's like 95% gone, but as you can tell, it didn't dye the page a whole lot, but there is a little bit of something from each left behind. It's not totally gone. It's just mostly gone. Now, next up is Fabriano Eco Qua. It's an 85 gram per square meter paper. It's probably one of my favorite, it is, especially lately, my favorite paper to write on. Yeah, it looks good on here. If you hold it at the right angle where there's no glitter, you can definitely see all the shading. You can even see the shading in that Japanese medium. Gotta bring it in because that's harder to see because it's a finer line. but it's there. It's very nice. It almost has like a, so you know how there's soft graphite and hard graphite? Hard graphite is lighter, soft graphite is darker, I believe, and it kind of reminds me of soft graphite, especially where, you know, you get the shading and it's a bit darker. Now again, dry times are kind of long. Japanese medium took 18 seconds. Double broad took 34. But again, like, so nice silver and then boom, as soon as the light hits it the right way, it's just gold, gold, and more gold. However, so let's look at the medium here. So we got gold, gold, less, 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 less. And then down here, less, 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 less. So yeah, there's flow problems. There's glitter pileup. But again, there's no bleed, no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen, all good in that regard. And again, it didn't dye the page. It's like 95% gone. You can tell that something was there. It wouldn't be easy to recover. I would not envy you that task, but there's something there. Now, next up is Rhodia, 80 grams per square meter. And yeah, it's kind of more of the same. Got good shading, very like nice distinct shading, and actually on here you get a bit of a dark halo around the wettest parts, which is kind of nice. I enjoy that. Yeah, Japanese medium, 17 seconds, double broad, 32, clear off the page. And yeah, you hold it at the right angle, you get lovely, lovely shading, and then you turn it and you get glitter. Now you may be wondering, what's this random little blob of lack of shading and lack of glitter? When I was picking up the syringe to do the water test, I dropped a little blob of water, and when I soaked it up, it took the glitter with it. So yeah, that's human error. Yeah, no bleed, no feather, no spread, no echo, no sheen. And once we get down here to angles and flow problems, we have almost no sheen left in that Japanese medium. So yeah, the Metro is really struggling with glitter flow. But again, water test, yeah, it's really gone. And it didn't dye the page, but it's not totally gone. There's a little bit of something left behind. It would not be fun to recover, but if you had to know that something was there, like, yeah, something was there. What was it? I don't know. Exactly. So next up is Tomoe River paper. It's known for drawing out shading and sheen and dry times and echo, and we got pretty much all of that except for the sheen. Yeah, I mean, we got great shading. It's very intense, it's very noticeable in some areas, like, you know, like the very top of that S or the first little hook of that J, it almost looks thin, but not quite. But I mean, that's something this paper does. It really just shows you the full breadth of shading that an ink has. Now, talking about extending dry times, that Japanese medium took 26 seconds to dry. The double broad, though, only took 51. Now, I think it was Golden Sands, that took a minute. Red Luster took 2. Like I said, great on a scale. But yeah, great shading. We even get some dark halo on here as well, around the wettest parts, and then we turn it and we get lots of gold, which is rather nice. But again, I mean, let's look at that Japanese medium. It's hard to find any glitter now. I mean, like, you can still find some of it down here, but it's really struggling. Now, there's no bleed, no feather, no spread, no sheen. There is some echo, though, because in some areas it does get quite dark, and this paper is so darn thin. And one of those pens is a double broad, so keep that in mind. If you're super sensitive to it, just go into it aware, but it could be a heck of a lot worse. Now, this paper loves to let ink slide away when you add more water. Kind of did and kind of didn't, because it did not dye the page, just soaked all of that up. But it's not completely gone. You can see that there is something there. It is very light, and the camera is sort of, I don't know, increasing the contrast a little bit. But yeah. Now, for the next 3 tests, I only used the Japanese medium, except to write the name. I believe I had to prime the feed by this point, because this is a more absorbent paper. Sometimes flow has trouble keeping up because the paper is there's more demand than supply, essentially. Now, I did use the X450 to write, or sorry, the double broad Kaweco to write the name, and here we have glitter again because I was priming the feed. But for the most part, in the writing, it's you know, we have it at first and then poof, it's gone. We have some in the scrubby, but barely any. It looks like a constellation. Now, took 3 seconds to dry on here. This is the world's worst copier paper. Quite possibly the worst paper I've ever encountered. Now, again, this is the same Japanese medium that I was using to write on here. That is a significant increase in line width. There is a good deal of spread. We lose our shading, but there's almost no feathering. In fact, it's hard to find any. It's very well behaved in that regard. There's spread, yes, but no feathering, which was rather nice, because, I mean, if there's spread, okay, here or there. But feathering, that's just ugly. And then, this really surprised me. First of all, there's no bleed. There's just a few spots where it's starting to, you know, be seen on the other side. For the most part, it is blank. So, yeah, the black and the gray inks from this line, quite well behaved. Now, I actually kind of like just the gray color as it is, but, you know, I like grays. And again, this water test, that's pretty surprising. It didn't dye the page. It didn't really feather and explode and freak out. It did a little bit, just in spots, but it's pretty stoic. You know, it's pretty there. It's pretty calm. That would be pretty easy to recover, actually. Now, next up is, I ran out of actual Mead, so this is off-brand Staples Mead-like spiral notebook paper. And, it's behaving freakishly well. So I cannot guarantee that these are the results you're going to get, because, I mean, here we have shading. We have shading on cheap notebook paper. It took 9 seconds to dry. It's essentially behaving like a premium paper, even though this is like, you know, you get like 5 for like $2 or $3 or something. But yeah, it's, you get shading, there's no feathering, there's no spread as compared to like the 20-pound. It's, you know, we still have a little bit of glitter, but it's very hard to see in the writing. But yeah, no bleed at all, no echo even. That's how I know that this is like blessed by dark sorcery. There's no way that's real. And oddly, here it dyed the page again. That was weird. And there's only the tiniest little bit of something remaining, so I don't know, something's up. And lastly is Moleskine notebook paper, which I hate because it's terrible and they make you pay a lot of money for it. But yeah, so even before I bring it in, you can probably see that it's pretty woolly. You can see like that gross texture. You can see the pulp that made up the paper. It's unattractive. It took 8 seconds to dry, and there's feathering and show through. It could have been worse, but I mean, it's like a little bit all throughout, and I'd like to see better, but you know, it could be worse. We've seen things that just get unreasonably ugly, so could be worse. However, this water test is like, it can't make up its mind whether it wants to freak out or behave. Because, I mean, like, some bits are just exploding, other bits are staying still. You know, I hate Moleskine. It is my nemesis. Someday I shall defeat it. But anyways, so, there you go. The last of the Shimmertastic series. I'm so glad to be over because I am just sparkling. I look like one of those vampires from that terrible book series. Oh god, I just offended the internet. I regret nothing. Anyway, so, last one alphabetically, Diamine, Shimmertastic, Sparkling Shadows. It's actually a very nice contrast of, like, you know, it looks like a genuine kind of silver, you know, like a sterling silver, and gold, and it's a nice sort of flippy contrast when you sort of catch the light right. Not the best water resistance, but actually fairly well behaved on copier paper. Yeah, if you like the glitter, glitter at it. So, for your consideration from the Triple N Network. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel. And thanks for watching. Bye.